I'm afraid of women. I had the largest fear experience I've had yet the other day when a guy ran up on me and he told me to my face that he's afraid of women. At first, I was saying to myself, from a brute standpoint, an egotistical male with a whole bunch of testosterone, I was saying to myself, why would he say he's afraid of women? Women won't hurt a fly. I guess thinking from the standpoint of being Solomon or some great king, it seems quite ridiculous to believe that a man should fear a woman. Now, I usually don't have fear, but this man scared me. He ran up on me. A short fella, 5'8". We was in the alley in a ghetto neighborhood. And I said to myself, maybe this is it. All these sharing videos that I've been doing, all the stuff is caught up to me. This guy pulled up a trash can and pulled me one up. Husky guy. And said, man, I'm afraid of women. At first I felt forced to listen. Then I felt compelled to listen. Then I felt it was my obligation and my duty to listen. I said to myself, this is a spiritual move. This man needs my assistance. He's yearning for answers. Because I hadn't been thinking about it that much, and because I've been doing these sharing concepts, I told this 5'8" guy, you should be afraid of women. And he looked up like that wasn't the answer he was looking for. Now, Red Fox talked about he'd rather be in the hospital with a cyst on his body eating Jell-O instead of being out in the alleyway with a 6'8" Indian with a hatchet in the ghetto. I looked up, he looked up, and I didn't know what he was going to do now that I had said you should be. Whenever a man displays an emotional weakness and that he's vulnerable in any shape, form, or fashion, that man and that man only should be afraid of women. I hadn't thought about it until he brought it up, but I learned that you should be. Some men, I'm found out, have been molested when they was little. Some of them for a short time period, some of them for a long time period. Man said, I'm afraid of women. He's proceeded to tell me about being in a situation where he had to share his woman, and he had no idea that he would have to do such a thing. But he said, we've been together for a long time, and I'm starting to learn for myself. A lot of times there's two phases of when you have to share your woman. Two. In the beginning and in the end of the relationship. In the beginning, when they just first meet you, I told these guys it's 2:30. Now it becomes 3:30 in the morning in this unsafe environment, only because we make it unsafe. Because we are in this area where stealing for money and killing for fun is just everyday life. I have forgot about that, even though I'm from that. I proceed to tell him, when a woman first meets you, she don't trust you. And when the relationship is over, she don't trust you anymore. In the beginning, because they don't know you, they have their options still open. You don't know what number you are when you meet her, or when you come into her life. You could be number 16. You could be number 23. You don't know what number you are, and she's not going to tell you. So when she says, so, I want to get to know you, you can go ahead and pull the plug on a relationship from this point forward. You're just on the oxygen tank or something at this stage, and it's going downhill. When she finds out who you are, if you got any cracks, crevices, creaks, mistakes, flaws, any of those things, you going down. This is in the beginning. In the beginning, one of the reasons why you're able to hang in there is because she's intrigued by you for some reason, and she wants to find out more. Is he suitable to take care of me and all of my needs and wants? God told me he was afraid of women. He looked me in my face, stood up. Even though I was sitting on the garbage can, I still was almost as tall as he was. I'm afraid of women, he says again. It's almost like he was a robot program out of Escape Room. Like the lady who was in the customer service thing behind the glass. All it seemed like he blurted out was like a recording, an 8-track or tape deck, an old beatbox, boombox style, saying, I'm afraid of women. Now my fear is starting to increase as I'm wondering if I'm talking to a robot. Obviously the words that I'm saying are not penetrating this man's mind nor heart, if there's one in there. But just like the Tin Man who didn't have a heart, this guy was wheezing, and all of that copper and stuff like that started to rust up. That was a sneaky one. But the guy told me, I'm afraid of women. I started to realize that this is a useless mission. So I told him I stood up. I stuck my hand out and I put it in front of him and I said, "Go and pray to God." And I walked away. And as I walked away, he said, "I'm afraid of women." And I thought about this poor loser. And I ended up having a couple of tears in my eyes because I realized this is a useless mission. Trying to educate men on something they just don't have any insight, foresight, backsight, no type of vision of. I knew it was a thankless, useless mission to try to educate people on something that destroys them psychologically, physically, spiritually, all kind of ways. Before I felt like I could clear the alley, he repeated, "I'm afraid of women." I was exhausted with the process, and usually I feel like I'm a smart guy, like I can reach anybody. I turned him before I left, and I said, "Me too. I don't believe in women either. I'm afraid of women too, I mean." And when I said I'm afraid of women, it was almost like some kind of lock was open, and he turned and walked away. My shoulders slumped down, and I felt like, whoa. All I had to do was admit that I was afraid of women too, and we could have been gone an hour ago.